Sup, you beautiful bastards? Hope you've had a fantastic Monday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing I have to talk about today is White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci. I'm just getting word. Okay, make that former White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci. That means that Anthony Scaramucci held that position for just 10 days. Now, as of recording this video, it is not clear if Scaramucci is just leaving that position and will continue to work at the White House, or if he's out completely. But it is being reported that Scaramucci's removal from this position was at the request of the new Chief of Staff, John F. Kelly, who appears to be trying to make it clear that he is the man in charge, and not Scaramucci, who seemingly was bragging about having direct access to the president and talked incredibly negative about the former Chief of Staff. Although, update to the story, the White House has released an official press statement stating Anthony Scaramucci will be leaving his role as White House Communications Director. Mr. Scaramucci felt it was best to give Chief of Staff John Kelly a clean slate and the ability to build his own team. We wish him all the best. Yeah, that sounds like Scaramucci. That seems to be what actually happened. But I also do want to point out that we live in such a weird timeline that we are shocked, genuinely shocked, that the guy that said someone that works with him was too busy sucking his own cock and undermining his boss at the time, the Chief of Staff, that he got fired. Things he openly said to a reporter he called up while also not asking that it be off the record. And for most of us, we were like, that's probably not going to affect him. What is happening? Does anyone know? Also, can I be honest here? I'm a little bit disappointed. Scaramucci was the best thing to happen to the White House ever. To me, Scaramucci was like having my dad be the White House Communications Director. Just a loud Italian guy who said crazy shit that always bordered on vague threats. But if you do look on the bright side of the situation, Scaramucci was actually successful in just 10 days. He joined the team, said, I'm going to stop the leaks, then either on purpose or on accident leaked information, and just like that, he's out of the White House. Say what you will, he is effective. But a question I want to pass off to you, what are your opinions about Scaramucci leaving? Also, when you're giving that answer, let me know if you're pro-Trump, anti-Trump, you're kind of middle of the road on him. I'm really interested to see what the whole gambit thinks about this. And then let's talk about Russia in the news. So Russia's in the news for two reasons. The first being censorship. Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed a law that as of November 1st bans technology which lets you access banned websites, including virtual private networks and proxies. So in Russia, it has been banned. It is not legal to use a VPN. And the president signed another law that makes it so that chat apps, they now legally have to identify their users by phone number by January 1st, 2018. And a lot of the apps already allowed you to connect your phone number, but it wasn't a requirement. It was not mandatory. And that's a big deal if you want to have some sort of anonymity. And the Russian government will most likely tout that this is to prevent extremism, but this really does appear to be more about control of their population. Russia's having a presidential election in March. Banning VPNs is going to make it harder for Russian citizens to bypass Russian blocks on news that they don't want their people seeing. It also appears to be meant to make what they're searching less secure, and making it a legal requirement that someone has to connect their phone number to a chat app is going to hurt people setting up protests. It's much more likely that the police are going to be able to track whoever's trying to set up these protests. It's going to scare others away from even the thought of organizing a protest. And so with these two moves going into place, what we're seeing is Russia's stranglehold on information and their citizens' ability to do anything. It grips even tighter. But Russia was in the news today for more than what they're doing to their own people. Russia's in the news today because they are expelling 755 US diplomats and technical personnel. And those being expelled from Russia will be expelled by September 1st. Also, Russia reportedly closed a US recreational retreat in Moscow and warehouse facilities. And this seems to be in response to a few things. The Russian Foreign Ministry had previously said that the United States should cut its embassy and consular employees to 455, that being the same number that Russia has in the United States. Also, there were the sanctions under Obama. Also, under President Obama, there was the expulsion of 35 Russian diplomats from the United States. And then most recently, this past weekend, while everyone was talking about healthcare and Scaramucci talking about people sucking their own cocks, Congress passed a sanctions bill against North Korea, Iran, and Russia. The bill passed with an overwhelming majority. I'm talking about in the Senate, it was a 98-2 vote. And so in addition to having that supermajority, that veto-proof bill, the bill also goes out of its way to limit what the president can do in removing sanctions against Russia. If Trump wanted to remove or lighten the sanctions against Russia, reportedly, he would have to send Congress a report explaining and justifying his decision, and Congress would then have 30 days to decide whether to allow it. And late Sunday night on state television, Vladimir Putin said, "We had hoped that the situation will somehow change, but apparently if it changes, it won't be soon. I thought it was the time to show that we're not going to leave it without an answer." And in response to this move by Russia, the US State Department said that this was a regrettable and uncalled for act. And as far as what happens from here, we have Vladimir Putin saying that there's no reason to escalate any further. No further action against the United States is needed at this moment, but it will be interesting to see if President Trump signs the bill that Congress has sent him about the sanctions, or if he'll use what Russia has done here as a reason that he is going to veto this bill, even if it is just a superficial veto and Congress can override it. But from that, I want to share some stuff I love today, and today in Awesome, brought to you by the Pretentious shirt. A shirt that lets the world know I'm willing to pay a premium for a shirt with a single word on it as long as Thrones, it's in a red rectangle. So if you want this exclusive, custom, limited edition t-shirt, hoodie, ladies tee, grab one while you can by using the link down below. And the first bit of awesome is actually a reminder, if you are a member of DeFranco Elite, today at 4 p.m. we're doing our live town hall to talk about all the behind the scenes numbers and where we're headed with the new content. We have a bunch of new stuff coming up this new quarter and I'm excited to talk to you about it. Then we had the official premiere of this season of Rick and Morty last night. If you want to watch the first 2 episodes, they are up right now on adultswim.com. It's just such a good show. Then we had John Oliver from Last Week Tonight dedicating 22 minutes of his show on Alex Jones. It is a thing of beauty. Then we got a trailer for What Happened to Monday. And for fans of Baby Driver, which by the way was a fantastic movie, Vox actually made a video where they mapped the opening car chase. And if you want to see the full versions of everything I just shared, the secret links of the day, anything at all, links as always are in the description down below. Then let's talk about HBO, who's in the news, and not just because, oh my god, last night's episode of Game of Thrones, what's Khaleesi gonna do? That's not why I'm talking about HBO today. Today we are talking about them because it looks like they got hacked. Now, as of recording this video, HBO has not said what was stolen, how much data was accessed, but it does appear if you search and look in the right places that several episodes of the series Ballers were leaked, several episodes of Room 104 were leaked, and reportedly the script for next week's episode of Game of Thrones leaked. According to EW, several reporters were sent an anonymous email last night that read, "Hi to all mankind. The greatest leak of cyberspace era is happening. What's its name? Oh, I forgot to tell. It's HBO and Game of Thrones. You are lucky to be the first pioneers to witness and download the leak. Enjoy it and spread the words. Whoever spreads well, we will have an interview with him. HBO is falling." And today, the CEO of HBO, Richard Plepler, sent out an email to employees that read, "There has been a cyber incident directed at the company which has resulted in some stolen proprietary information, including some of our programming. Any intrusion of this nature is obviously disruptive, unsettling, and disturbing for all of us. I can assure you that senior leadership and our extraordinary technology team, along with outside experts, are working around the clock to protect our collective interests. The efforts across multiple departments have been nothing short of Herculean. It is a textbook example of quintessential HBO teamwork. The problem before us is unfortunately all too familiar in the world we now find ourselves a part of. As has been the case with any challenge we have ever faced, I have absolutely no doubt that we will navigate our way through this successfully." So there's that. If you want to ruin the next episode of Game of Thrones for yourself, you can. I'm personally going to wait, but to each their own. And then we had Chris Christie, the governor of New Jersey, back in the news. The last time we talked about the governor, he was under fire because he and family and friends were vacationing on a beach he ordered shut down that weekend. And his response to the backlash, and really just any criticism these days, seems to be, "I don't care, go fuck yourself," which is also probably the reason that last month it was reported that he had a 15% approval rating. And he was back in the news yesterday because he was at a Cubs game and he got in a fan's face. The Cubs fan in question was Brad Joseph. Reportedly, he called out Chris Christie's name, said "you sucked," called him a hypocrite. And so then this moment happened.
You're a big shot. Appreciate that.
And allegedly before the video was recording, Chris Christie said, "Why don't you have another beer?" And here's what I'll say. The first thing is to Brad Joseph, it's kind of a bitch move to scream mean things at someone after they passed you. According to his interview, Chris Christie had already passed him. He was 30 feet away when he started yelling. But also, too, I find it so hilarious that Chris Christie's trying to be intimidating. Chris, it is a scientifically proven fact that you cannot be intimidating while dressed like Humpty Dumpty. You can't expect your threats to be taken seriously when you're dressed like a half-done Easter egg. The only reason to fear Chris Christie in that moment is to fear that he's accidentally gonna drop his fully loaded nachos on you, which if we're being honest here, isn't a real fear to have because the entire time Chris Christie's getting in that guy's face, he's got those nachos tucked like he's ready to break some tackles. I mean, if you think about it, Chris Christie dresses like he governs. You can tell he goes through the motions, but also that he stopped caring a long time ago. Then let's talk about the Tomorrowland Music Festival in Barcelona, which had to be evacuated this Saturday. And the reason 22,000 people had to be evacuated is this insane fire broke out. Reportedly, around 20 people were treated for minor injuries and anxiety. Reportedly, no one was seriously hurt. The evacuation went through. As of right now, they don't know why the fire started. And I mentioned this story for 2 reasons. The first being, holy shit, that fire is scary. And secondly, to congratulate authorities on a successful evacuation. The fact that so few were hurt, I mean, it's a thing that should be applauded here. And I felt like it was important to talk about something like this because normally a story like this only blows up if there's a huge loss of life. But here, everyone reacted and responded appropriately, so it's less clickbaity, but it's definitely more good for the people that were there. And then let's talk about the big update around the alleged planting of evidence by the Baltimore Police Department. A few weeks ago, we talked about the body cam footage released by the Baltimore Police Department that appeared to show an officer planting and then finding evidence. The cop in question there was Officer Pinheiro. But the body camera, which records 30 seconds prior to when you activate it, appeared to show Officer Pinheiro planting drugs, hiding the drugs, going out, then activating his body camera and finding the drugs. So there, of course, was a lot of scrutiny, many saying this shows the police officers here planted the evidence, but you have the local police union defending the officers here, saying that they found the drugs in the backyard and the filming was just a reenactment of the find. But of course, this has led to an investigation. Officer Pinero was suspended. In addition, the other two officers in the video were placed on administrative duty. And the big update today is this video has affected far more than just this one incident. Reportedly, Baltimore State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby has dismissed 34 cases that required the officers in question here as witnesses, and all of them are drug or gun-related cases. Mosby saying the credibility of those officers has now been directly called into question. As I have stated before, it is incumbent upon us as prosecutors to be the ministers of justice and to do what is right in the pursuit of justice over convictions while simultaneously prioritizing public safety. And in addition to these 34 cases, there are another 77 cases being reviewed. And even that's not the end of it. Reportedly, when Mosby's office was made aware of this whole situation, they started investigating a ton of other videos. And reportedly, there is now a second video that brings into question 219 other cases. But as of right now, we have very limited information on this second video since there is an ongoing investigation with internal affairs. I mean, the domino effect we're talking about here could be massive, and it'll be very interesting to see what comes from this investigation. But a question I do want to pass off to you, because I don't think we've framed it this way in a very long time. What is your opinion on police wearing body cams? Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. But also, if you want the police officers to wear body cameras, should they be on 24/7, or should the officer have control? And to get the ball rolling for you, the arguments against both of these is if the police officers have control of when it is being filmed, even if it's 30 seconds prior, of course that the police will manipulate or omit footage. And the argument against the always on cameras is it's both an invasion of privacy for the police officer as well as just the general public being filmed. But main point, I would really love to know your thoughts here. And that's actually where I'm going to end today's show. And remember, if you liked this video, you like what I try and do on this channel, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you missed the last Philip DeFranco show, you want to catch up, click or tap right there to watch that. Or if you want to see the newest behind the scenes vlog, click or tap right there to watch that. But that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.